Blog Talk Radio.
We are live here at Old City Hall where the Moors have returned. Sir, do you have anything to say about this matter?
Yeah. Love, truth, peace, freedom, and justice.
Yep. Sir, what do you have to say?
I just want to put it on the record. I'm not right.
Yeah, what he said.
Moors' life matters.
More lives matter. It seems like black lives don't matter. More lives matter. Shot in the back, running or choked out to death on the corners. Mistake this taser for his sidearm, says the coroner. To the yellow journalist that won awards for writing facts, for World Wide Web press stories, always calling them black. Civil rights violated, here comes C1-7 and CIA and FBI agent, brethren felons with what Big Brother once heard. Most Moors are nerds and study more than if I'm on the road, no biting curbs. No threats of nooses or fighting for survival. Making Moors martyrs won't happen, calling us Captain Rival. Inquisitionists, governors and secretaries of state got stateless on their tables like ribeye steak. With no care, blood dripping, they eat blacks rare. Foreigners wearing 6-point badges, pretending they're heirs to the vastness of state Maghrib al-Aqsa. Stateless blood flow past a horse's brow, I swear it's agua. Demons thirst quench, stealing pioneers and organs. Psychiatry, death industry, to stars selling black orphans. And half-closed coffins, cause legs are missing. Killing stateless people, cancer won't even see remission. More lives matter. But it seems like black lives don't matter. More lives matter. Cause it seems like black lives don't matter. More lives matter. Cause it seems like black lives don't matter. More lives matter. Cause it seems like black lives don't matter.
System, what system? Not gonna make myself no victim. Run down and kick them up, educate oneself and flip them. All of their titles or nationality strips them. Must grip reality in order to really grips them in this third dimensional illusion. Organized chaos, confusion, stealing your attention, mental intrusion. Universal laws, declaration of the ancients. I self-law and master from the rooftops to the basements. Hoop these to the spaceship, ever since all creations. Celestial foundations, ocean floor to the ranges, to the mountain tip, to the cosmic infinite. Basically we are way above the shit. In other words, get in tune with spirit. Take a breath and accept mental polarity, gender rhythm, correspondence, vibration, cause and effect.
More lives matter. Cause it seems like black lives don't matter. More lives matter. Cause it seems like black lives don't matter. More lives matter. Cause it seems like black lives don't matter. More lives matter. Cause it seems like black lives don't matter.
More lives matter cause I sing it no sound off. It gets defective when rejected, put your masks off. Get my perspective on the record to replay. All the news that on replay until they wanna cast off. Bury them, on to the next one. Enough of them are gun it down. Use them a cast cross. Can't believe a Tubby that. Can't believe a Taj Pass. Trayvon, Michael Brown died for us to find cause. The afterlife visited the class wrong. Who they really wanna see with the crown on high and the garbs on free? I am free and in no business but your land or your country to seek your inalienable rights. The insatiable delight of knowing thyself and bringing all injustice to light. For the fight, it's your plight, make your sight for the bright. I'm the mic in the night, foresight for you to realize that, huh?
More lives matter. Cause it seems like black lives don't matter. More lives matter. Cause it seems like black lives don't matter. More lives matter. Cause it seems like black lives don't matter. More lives matter. Cause it seems like black lives don't matter.
But first we would like to let you know who is this group that's always referred to as Black Muslims. Actually, the followers of the Honorable Elijah Muhammad, we don't call ourselves Black Muslims as such.
Shortly put, are the Black Muslims taking you for a ride? I said not Black Muslims, Muslims. I beg your pardon.
We don't call ourselves Black Muslims as such. We don't call ourselves Black Muslims name that was invented by a so-called Negro preacher named Reverend C. Eric Lincoln. This is a name that was invented by a so-called Negro preacher named Reverend C. Eric Lincoln, who was a preacher, a Methodist preacher down in Atlanta, Georgia, and selected and sent to Boston University, where he did some research on the work of the Honorable Elijah Muhammad here in America. After Reverend Lincoln finished his study, he wrote a thesis, and after it was accepted, he was called a doctor. I guess he's a doctor of Muslimology, and he developed his thesis into a book called The Black Muslims. And today the white man calls us the black Muslims, not because we are black people who are Muslims, but he tries to make it look like we are black Muslims, something distinct, separate, and apart from the Muslims in Africa and Asia. Because the number one tactic that the white man has always used when he wanted to suppress and oppress and exploit has been divide and conquer. So he tries to divide us from the Muslims abroad. He tries to divide us from our own people here in this country. His constant tactic or effort to create division and get at us has been a failure, thanks to Almighty God Allah. His constant tactic or effort to create division and get at us has been a failure, thanks to Almighty God Allah. As Muslims, we are the same as the people who call themselves Muslims. As Muslims, we are the same as the people who call themselves Muslims. As Muslims, we are the same as the people who call themselves Muslims. As Muslims, we are the same as the people who call themselves Muslims. As Muslims, we are the same as the people who call themselves Muslims. We are Muslims because our religion is the religion of Islam. And there are 725 million people in the dark world, primarily in Africa and Asia, whose religion is the religion of Islam. 725 million people in the dark world who 5 times a day turn towards Mecca and bear witness that there is no God but Allah and Muhammad is the apostle of Allah. In the language of our forefathers, as the Honorable Elijah Muhammad has taught us, they say, Ashhadu la ilaha illallah wa ashhadu anna Muhammadan Rasulullah. Before you and I were brought, now hold it again. La ilaha illallah Muhammadan Rasulullah. Good. That means there is no God but Allah and Muhammad is his apostle. And you will usually find the white man will call on or bear witness to any God but Allah. And he loves people who serve God, others except those who use the name Allah as the supreme being. And in saying this, we believe that there is one God who is the supreme being, the creator of the universe. Some of you call him Jehovah, others call him Christ. We who are Muslims call him Allah. We don't look upon Jesus as being God. It has only been since you were brought to America and brainwashed by the slave master that you have come to think that Jesus is God. And Jesus was crucified on the cross 2,000 years ago, 9,000 miles from here, and you can call on that Jesus the rest of your life, and the white man will continue to put his rope around your neck. But in the Bible, please, in the Bible, there is one God. He has one religion, and that he gave this one religion, the same religion, to all of his prophets. Which means Abraham was a Muslim, Lot was a Muslim, Noah was a Muslim, Moses was a Muslim, Daniel was a Muslim, Jesus was a Muslim, all were Muslims, all practiced the religion of Islam. You cannot name one prophet, please, you cannot name one prophet in the Bible that came from Europe. No prophet came from Europe. The prophets all came from Africa and Asia. And they came from that part of Africa, that part of Asia that's connected with Africa. And this is one thing that you need to know before you can really have a love for the prophet and a love for the religion that was taught by the prophet and a love for the God who was represented by the prophet.
I said not black Muslim. Muslim. I think about it.
we find our nationality and serve that nationality, we'll do for ourselves what needs to be done.
Keep thinking it's games, you already know these beats kill you on camera, leave you dead in the street. You're still handcuffed and bloody, but no 911 calls. Bystander effect in full effect, so watching with y'all, mind blowing. Watching my people holding up traffic of innocent people. My people need to get their ass kicked. Marching and picketing is most cowardice and funkified, while dead bodies just multiply. Sisters killed in their cells. You claim it's hell, you're raised and burned down your own community, not one police station. You love pork chops, but I see no police bacon. And when it comes to revolution, most of y'all are faking.
All ethnic groups in this country understand they got a nationality because you answer to such stupid words like
Black lives don't matter, but you still claim black. Rather film someone get choked out but won't choke back. And the one that uploads first face charges Trump's up. What you think will happen when President Trump's up? More killing and murders of stateless herds. Hoods are concentration camps now, ghettos are birds. Gun stores short on ammo, they're melting down church bells. Black seek shelter in temples where God doesn't dwell. That's why a foreigner can walk in and shoot up your service. Praying to invisible gods give you the curses. You pray to relinquish, that's none of my business. I suggest you nationalize with the quickness. I suggest you study law, stop with in your face. I see them spray the pepperish liquid, then pouring white milk on your face. I thought that milk was the devil. Some weapons drown the noise level. Boys, you rebels.
because you answer to such stupid words like Negro and color and black. You have
the point that I'm making. Blacks are mistaken. Call them highwaymen, not cracker pigs or bacon. Taking your tax dollars and riot gear, they relaxing. Cause in a black status, don't even think about a class action. Don't even think about rights being respected without getting injected. I see you infected. Then the same ones that violate the laws you re-elected. Your vote matters more than black lives feel disrespected. Control the Negroes, looks tested and perfected. That's why about being black, I'm skeptic and left it. My people are tripping, walking with arms like cancers who got nowhere in the 60s, so that's not the answer. And black leader, race war, instigator, puppet. Teach, kill those who killed us as justice. But have they ever killed? I say not. If they did it, TSA, nobody to show. Yellow envelope, money in escrow. Accounts overseas, not in democracies, living hypocrisies. It's all de jure mockeries, bureaucracies, vampiric, but most can't hear it. It's only the attitude, the regalia is not clan spirit. Until my people wake up, your struggle for rights continue. And your children's organs end up on the elite menu. You love text but delete the messages, more send you with no status. You're in the jurisdiction and venue of the same beast system you attempt to defeat. Only as Moors will you get them on the heels of their feet. Of the same beast system you attempt to defeat. Only as Moors will you get them on the heels of your feet.
The name of a people must relate them instantaneously to land, history, and culture. And anytime you call a people by their right name, anytime you call a people, name a people, and fail to relate them back to land, history, and culture, you have called them out of their name. There's no black land or black owner. There's nothing wrong with the word black. Nothing wrong with it at all. Only it doesn't relate to a country. The name of every people in the world relate to country. And once you think instantaneously of land, you think of nationality.
Peace and love, Moors. I am Ms. Raheem. I left L. You are tuned into MHHS Eyes Wide Open Sons of Allah for December 19th, 2019 to close out this Gregorian year in a decade. I am not alone. I'm here with my brethren, Cujo, Adwo, L. Peace and love. Noble, you there? Oh, hold up. My fault. Hold up. Peace and love. There you go.
Peace and love, Moor. Islam to all the Moors worldwide. Peace and love. Been a while.
Absolutely. It's been a minute, bro. It's been a minute. And my goodness, I want to recap some things, man. This season has been great personally. You know, with the good and the bad, it's still been a great situation. You know, tapping back into certain aspects of knowledge of self and, you know, just so many things, knowing where we're going moving forward, knowing where we're going moving forward, and it's just a beautiful thing, bro. I know there's been a lot of negative energy, and on that note, I would like to, apologize, but we're going to get this right tonight. It's so much to recap. I know you've been going through a lot, battling with these naysayers and whatnot. Nothing too serious, but, that still exists going into 2020 and whatnot. I know we mentioned before, and I felt bad because I had told the brother Minka, that we would love to hear his recap, based off of the slanderous things that came out in the hateful campaign, and where that energy comes from to an extent, among other things, recapping the decade. But I told the brother it was the 20th. The third Thursday was the 20th when it was really the 19th. But I spoke to him, and, in a few moments, I want to chime the brother in so that we can recap some of these things and pinpoint where some of the slanderous energy is coming from certain people. But more or less than that, it's more so like this decade has been amazing in itself. We've seen so many different things unfold, technology unfold, and I'm just excited to wear this new time block. Not that it's the actual time, because, it never was a time when man was not. And those same negative energies that had existed before still exist today. It's nothing new. But time is an instrument subordinate to us in the sense of it's a concept we created. However, when we look at certain timelines, you can see where certain energies come from. Hold up. Let me see. This is the brother Nair. Hold on. Peace, more. Cujo, can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you more.
Okay. Brother Minka, can you hear me, bro?
True indeed.
Okay. That's what I'm talking about.
Peace, family. Peace. Islam, more. What's going on, brother Cujo? Yo, everything's peaceful, more. Good to hear from you. Oh, man, likewise, man. Likewise. Yeah.
Absolutely. So I'm thankful you are able to join us tonight as the quote-unquote elevator himself. The negative. There's energies out there that are trying to tweak out, you know what I'm saying? And it's kind of sort of funny when you could pinpoint where they come from. I know you could speak about this firsthand, you know what I mean? But before we get into this Urkel situation and whatnot, I just want to say I'm thankful for this particular moment right now, whereas, both of you brothers was kind of like, in the essence, the first brothers I publicly even did anything with. For the record, real talk, you have been coming to MHHS Eyes Wide Open classes not only as a student and a knower and a teacher, but also as a mufti. You know what I'm saying? And when we talk about closing out a decade, I know that you've been there to experience most of the things we've seen, like back then we wasn't really ourselves rocking with the camera. There was other people doing it, and then we seen the need to take it into our own hands after that. But, I mean, you've been there for MHHS presentations, RV Bay Publications presentations, and you've seen yourself firsthand, you know, how people would come to these venue at the National Theater and whatnot and try to challenge us in the name of us being incorrect as far as the teachings of Noble Drew Ali. You've seen that happen, but you also have witnessed that happen when we shut them down so bad on the information level, on the education level, that they had to walk up and leave because their points were invalid anyway. You know what I mean? And when I think of just recapping this whole decade, you know, in the earlier parts, you was there to experience some of that and to even be able to pinpoint where some of this hate is coming from is not all we got to speak on, but I know you have firsthand knowledge of, you know, where some of this energy comes from. Like, I look at Merck's hate for RV Bay Publications today. I see that from what I've experienced, what I've seen, it feels like, you know, it's still coming from a place of bitterness, of being sour, you know what I mean? Burn that and, you know, all of this craziness, when in reality, these are personal experiences where they got embarrassed, you know, and to be able to distinguish the two from when you see people publicly coming online trying to diss Moors that we know, you know what I'm saying? But really it's a personal feeling and emotion they may have not gotten over from dealing with us in the flesh and taking responsibility for themselves. Like, I say this, you know, it's 1,000 things we could talk about, but, you know, with Merck saying that, you know, he recently coming out talking about burn this RV Bay shit and all of this craziness, and, you know, to be able to pinpoint where that underlying theme of disdain may come from and to distinguish it from, you know, scientific mind saying, well, I see this point could be added on to, or, you know, I don't know about that point, or, you know, maybe we could do it better like this, opposed to being bitter because of disrespecting in real life and getting embarrassed. You know what I mean? Real facts. Like, real facts.
Before you even go there, one of the things too that I want to bring up, since we're talking about early in the decade, when we first started getting into this information, and we were with Brother Daweed Ali El in Mecca. There's 3 reference points that they told us to stick to if we're going to be dealing with this information. 3 reference points to stick to so that we could be right and exact with where we're supposed to go with this information and the way to keep ourselves clean and pure and out of the confusion. One reference point was RV Bay Publications. The other reference point was Moore's Order of the Round Table and Grand Sheik Nature Bay. And when we would be investigating, you know, getting information, because they gave us whatever information we could, and we looked at it like, okay, well, you know, let's just really see what's really out here with regard to these individuals. These were some of the most hated people in 2009, 2010, 2011. by the Moors themselves, right? Morris Science Temple of America hated on Grand Sheik Nature Bay because of his previous taking Asbury Park to court, beating them up or whatever. You know, they're not supposed to do that. How are they doing that? They're supposed to respect the law, and they're suing police officers and all this type of stuff. But the Taj Tariq Bay, hate, like we're talking about hate. People just hating for no damn reason. Just because somebody's putting out information, you're hating that hard? Just because they're repping for Noble Drew Ali harder than you, you're hating that hard? And hating on Razmariah Bay because she was one of the first mothers out there, put a fez on, had these people messed up. She was one of the first people to have a website putting out that information on rapid fire that people didn't even have a chance to recover from information being put out so much through that website. And, you know,
free, not $250, $500 per package.
Yeah. Before that, before packages were a G and 5,000 or whatever, when packages were 200, 300, right? There was a level of hatred that made you have to stop and say, hold on a second, something's not right here. That all these people with turbans and fezzes on hate these three people right here. What the hell are these three people doing? And again, this is 2009, 2008, 2009, 2010. So we're still, you know what I mean? We're still virgins in this. Like, we're still green. We're not even starting to get any yellow on us yet. We're still green, super green. You bite us, the milk is coming out when you bite us. Right? So straight green still. And when you start getting down into the info, I remember, you know, getting like some DVDs of the classes that used to be at Nature's House, and then you see Taj there, Africa Bambaataa there. Like, you know what I mean? The Raz there. Like, what is this? Oh, you mean all these people know each other or whatever, and people are hating? Nah, something's definitely going on. There's definitely a worldwide conspiracy against these individuals right here. And another person that was a reference point was Hakeem Bey, but they weren't hating on Hakeem. And I think the hatred, the lack of hatred for Hakeem Bey was because he was dealing with the historical aspect, so there was nothing to debate because you can't really debate the Moorish paradigm. You know what I mean? Like, whether you're Temple Moor, active Moor, passive Moor, or whatever, you're going to read some Hakeem Bey books and get a perspective. But when you start talking about this law, and you start bringing in Noble Drew Ali, and you start bringing in infiltration and people not doing their job and dereliction of duty because they're supposed to have certain obligations to the people that they're relinquishing because they want to side with the state and all that, you start getting into, you know, messing up people's finance, messing up people's reputation, messing up people's, you know, whatever it is that they were doing with this Moorish paradigm, 2008, 2009, 2010, stuff was getting messed up because of these individuals. You know what I mean? And again, we were taught from the perspective that, hey, don't follow us with anything that we do. Make sure you go fact check and prove us wrong. And by you going and proving us wrong, you're going to prove how right we are. You know what I mean? And how wrong a lot of these people who claim that they're right are. Right? So just for a little timeline, right? Just want, before Brother Minka goes in, you know, those three reference points, and they still have significant amount of information on YouTube that you can go pull up. Grand Sheik Nature Bay, Taj Tariq Bay, and Ras Mariah V. Bay. And again, when we're talking about them, remember the timeline, 2008, 2009, 2010. We're not talking about things going into 2015, 16, 17, or whatever. We're talking pre-2012. Right? We're talking pre-2012 lectures, classes, or whatever. But Islam, just wanted to put that in there. I yield the floor.
Facts, bro. Those are absolute facts.
I can definitely relate to that. For those that know me pretty well or have known me for a while, I was actually raised in what we consider now as a collective as the conscious community or movement. My father was fruit of Islam. My older cousins and younger uncles were into the Nation of Gods and Earths, or 5%ers, for those that don't know what the Nation of Gods and Earths are. I'm sure you know one of the two terms. And then at some point they started to sprout out, and learn about Dr. York and different Kemetic teachings, and I was fed all of this growing up. At some point, they ran into the information that the brother is building on now, from Hakeem, from Taj, and those were indeed my reference points also. So it's amazing to hear him say the same thing that somebody told me, and we're a world away. You know what I mean? From one another. To add on to that more, like he was saying, we're all down at the same temple. We're all dwelling in the same, temple. So I actually got to meet the people that they gave reference to. And that was amazing to me as well. But I like to put a little bit more emphasis on that because, again, if you know me and you know me well, you know that I really, really, really don't speak much. It was being able to sit with a mother like Raz, being able to sit with nature and Taj and Hakeem and Bambata personally and learn things from them is really what made me open my mouth. You know what I mean? Like, I can't possess all of this information and all this knowledge and wisdom from all of these people with all of their knowledge, wisdom, and understanding, and sit and harbor it. So not only did they put me and keep me on the right path, they were also highly, highly influential in me starting to open up and demonstrate more of myself. So I want to put emphasis on that as well. Before then, it would be here or there. I was at, a temple. I was the assistant Grand Sheik at the temple. So, I would speak, but we've all been to plenty of temples, across the country. Some temples may have 2 or 3 members. Some temple may have, 12, 15, you know what I mean? There's nothing that I've ever seen like a fully packed RV Bay class. You know what I mean? Like, you know what I mean? So, I was used to doing, a temple class. You know what I mean? So, and just being, the Mufti.
Hold on. Before you go forward, I don't want to cut your wisdom, but do you mind stating what temple you was Mufti in at? Or is that irrelevant?
No. The Great Seal, Circle 7, which is the temple know that Nature and Rise and Todd's where we all met at in the first place. That's where I started at. Right. So I got a good head, and I'm sure you can relate. You know what I mean? We got a good head start. You know what I mean? To be able to come in and be with who we were with. You know what I mean? When we came in, there was no stopping it from that point. Now that was my start. By the time that I'm talking about now, some brothers and sisters actually had resurrected the old Canaanite temple out in North New Jersey, which is home. And at some point, I wasn't there at the onset of it, but at some point I was able to join up with those individuals and with us trying to carry on that legacy or that energy of the old Canaanite temple is where I really, really started to butt out as a speaker and as a teacher, quote unquote. Mm-hmm. So that answer has two folds. That's why I gave you both sides to it. You there?
Yes.
All right. Now while we're on that, I have to, before I forget, if anybody knows how the law works with Moorish science, when you're a Mufti, you're a Mufti. A Mufti is a Mufti is a Mufti. So the very first time that I did Mufti at our class, I was coming there to be a student and chill and enjoy class. And for those that know, the brother Sheikh Shatik, he was instrumental in raising me as a Mufti. He was my captain at one point. He came to me and said, he brought Raz over too. He said, Raz, we got a Mufti right here. Go over there and post up, by the door right there. And he didn't ask because you don't ask. You're a Mufti, you're a Mufti, you're a Mufti. That's it. So I want that to be clear too. For people that don't understand what a Mufti is, for anybody that's aspiring to be a Mufti, which is a protector, of this movement, it doesn't turn off. And you don't choose when to or when not to be a Mufti. Your mode is protection and preservation, and you must do that at all times, at all costs. So I just wanted to throw that out there.
Pardon the interjection. Let me just qualify this for people who really don't get it. That Mufti is a Mufti or whatever. Let's just qualify it. I just want to read from the Administrative Functions book with regard to the cherub itself. Right? Page 71. The cherub, standing erect at the temple entrance door and overlooking Allah's worshippers, welcoming one and all to come and worship with us, and reading one and all as they enter the temple is our protection. The members of the office of the Sergeant at Arms or doorkeeper of the house of Allah, who are muftis appointed by the heads of state, functioning as palace guard. The Sergeant at Arms or doorkeeper station is of vital importance to the security and peace of the temple and its members, for he is a palace guard or guard of the chambers. It is the Sergeant at Arms who calls the meetings to order 5 minutes before the altar makes the call to prayer. It is the office that signals the altar that our meeting can open to Act 2 according to the Divine Constitution. This signaling is done by the Sergeant of Arms sounding Islam, Moors, the meeting will now come to order. Thus, the Assistant Sergeant at Arms position before the altar will also rise, thus the altar knows that there is peace in the house. The doorkeepers or mufti's duties are to make known to the altar of visitors that they may request an audience with the Grand Sheikh, etc. The mufti also welcomes visitors and seats them comfortably. They also pass out any and all temple written announcements and messages. The doorkeeper shows our temple visitors great hospitality. They show where restrooms are. They get water for the visitors. They hang up coats. They answer any questions. They give out information of future meetings. They escort dignitaries visiting our Moorish society. They are the task of the sergeant of arms or doorkeepers. Now, just to put something out there too, when we went to Mecca in 2008 and we went to Brother Daweed and them's temple, the Mufti or the sergeant at arms or the cherub was the most impacting memory that I have of being welcomed to this thing called Moorish Science Temple of America, Moorish Divine National Movement, Moorish Holy Temple of Science, Moorish Nation, whatever. Because there was two instances that just blew me away as to what this really is when we say we're Moors. One was when we first arrived at the temple, and I got out the conveyance. The Moor who was the Mufti there opened my door for me, and that was weird. You know, it was just weird. You know, like, why is this brother opening the door? Well, you know, whatever, he's being courteous or whatever. So we go to the trunk, pop the trunk, and then I grab my bag, and I'm about to go in the temple, and he put his hand across my way, like, and I literally walked into his hand, and it was like his hand was really there to stop me from moving forward or whatever. He's like, "Don't worry, I'll take your bag." I'm like, "Don't worry, boy, I got it." You know what I mean? And he's like, "No, I'll take your bag." Right? And it was one of those ones where you just have to give the bag up because he really wanted the bag. Like, he was really serious about taking the bag. So gave the bag up, and then went inside or whatever. I was like, damn, these dudes are serious. Like, he really wanted the bag, you know? So the temple meeting's going on. And there was some brothers behind us that were new to the temple. And I can't remember who was speaking at the front. I think it was a chairman or somebody that was speaking. And, you know, the brother just turned to the brother and they were just having a mild conversation about something that was just said or whatever. And the Mufti came up and put his hand on the brother's shoulder and then walked him to the back or whatever, and then came back and sat down or whatever. Dude never said anything for the rest of the night. Or like, damn, I wonder what happened. So I asked the brother after, "Yo, what happened? Like, what happened?" He's like, "Man, I don't know what this is, but this is some serious stuff when you're supposed to be paying attention." You're supposed to be paying attention to the individual who's speaking at the front because they have something that you have to hear. Like, he took you outside to tell you that? Like, yeah. You have to pay attention to the guy who's speaking at the front or the sister that's speaking at the front because that's the leadership. And they don't talk unless they have something to say. So when they're talking, you shut the hell up and you listen to what you say. You wait till question period to ask your questions. I was like, this is some real stuff right here. This is some real stuff right here, right? A couple more of these statements right here, though. The sergeant at arms, being Mufti, enforces the laws of our Moorish society and maintains peace at any cost. The sergeant at arms is also in charge of our charter, the symbol of our legislative power and authority. They are to see that the flags are at all times respected and protected. Remember, the subversive act of George Washington and his use of the axe regarding the cherry tree. Maintaining the general overall security of the temple, building, meeting, and congregation is his or her major responsibility. The office of the sergeant at arms or doorkeeper shall hold responsibility to keep the temple property, keep the temple regalia secured and in good order. They must keep the temple clean, orderly, decent, and comfortable. At the close of the meetings, they shall assure that all temple property is properly secured, and if any property, instruments, or items are ever removed from the temple from an outside function, it is the responsibility of the assigned officer responsible to the charge for the return of the same. And then it goes on. But that's administrative functions. You can get that at rvbaypublications.com, and that's the section on the cherub, which is the sergeant at arms, the doorkeeper, or the mufti. Islam.
Indeed. Islam. Peace.
Peace. For sure.
Did you have anything you wanted to add to that? Nick?
Yeah, for sure. I was going to ask you, what do you feel about this? Because as the brother Cujo just broke down on the record, it was like, it's more to a mufti, and you said, mufti is a mufti is a mufti. There's many senses that can be taken in, because if we look up the etymology or in an unabridged dictionary, it'll tell you that a mufti is a Mohammedan judge, right? That's what it would say, just the definition alone, right? And sometimes as a mufti, you have to use your judgment. You know what I mean? Do I trash this person? Do I have to put hands on it? Do I have to restrain them? Do I have to, command them or give them a warning to get out of here? You know what I'm saying? Or back off, or wake up, or stand up, or whatever it is, to get somebody in the circumference in order. You know what I mean? Some people are taking it from a perspective of a paperwork route where it's like a mufti is just somebody who's a Mohammedan judge. I mean, that's an attribute of a mufti, but you know what I'm saying? It's more to that duty than that.
Indeed.
Facts indeed. So, I mean, from a perspective to where, because, Noble Drew Ali said, learn to love instead of hate. Now, if you're trying to burn something, that's destruction. You know the God numbers, the daily mathematics. 8 is build or destroy. You know what I'm saying? And to try to invoke elements or whatnot in doing that, that's destruction from a source who's not destroying nothing outside of themselves. They're just destroying themselves, really, because maybe they have already been destroyed. So there's an element of destruction with them because they was destroyed as far as their ego goes. They're not operating on the conscious level. They're not operating with the lessons of Noble Drew Ali. But, they'll say, well, burn this Moor's ideology, burn this Moor's philosophy. And meanwhile, it's coming from a place of hate. I don't want to be on the bush with you. You already know. So I'm just saying, with people saying things of that nature, as far as a mufti duty is concerned, because, I see some people, they have disdain and they have certain hatreds or whatever for RV Bay Publications. But then I see some people, I'm like, oh, I know why they're mad. You got your eye socket rocked in the elevator. You mad still. And that was years ago. You know what I mean? Other people I see, it's like a bandwagon thing because we still in the times where it's like people could be led because they're not leaders themselves, right? So you got a whole bunch of people having followings and people following people. You know what I mean? And that's because they never took the science of Islam from a perspective of I, self, law, and master. You know what I mean? And even in that mentality, as a mufti, if your mindset is there, you're like, I got to use my own judgment, and sometimes you got to be judge, jury, and executioner, you know. So, you know, I say that to say that some people, I see where that disdain comes from. It comes from situations in real life. I guess, you know, I don't see anybody who has disdain for each other. Like, yo, I'm going to kill you because, you know, I don't agree with your ideology or your philosophy. Let alone, you know, and trying to invoke burning something of anybody, you know what I'm saying? Excuse me. You got to realize that that's coming from a place of hate too, in the sense of, yo, I don't like where Minka or Kudrow records their music at, so let me just say burn that shit or something crazy, you know? I don't know. Yeah, so I don't want to ramble on, but I want to ask you direct if you want to touch on the topic of this recent campaign who's saying that mantra in a sense, and where you believe that energy is pinpointed at, because I know you being a mufti in real life, outside of the paperwork alone, you know what I mean, having to use your judgment in swift seconds, that you've had to you know, use your vessel to bring, you know, a sort of peace in the sense of somebody who was acting crazy, talking stupid and disrespecting. As far as what he said, you know, as far as Merc L, as far as what he said about his eye socket getting leaked, you know what I mean, because he was out of order. I just want to know, do you have anything you would like to add on to the truth of that story? Because firsthand you was there, and I don't think nobody else could tell it better than you.
In order for me to do that, I will have to go back in history, in time. If people are familiar, or which I'm sure most of you are, with the website, the Everyday Publications, I have a piece on there. It's called Moors Temple and Membership. That was written based on this energy that he's speaking on as it was stirring up from the onset. These individuals would come to our class and either stand outside the door. Sometimes they would be bold enough, you know, to try to come in and pull people to the side and tell them, you know, you're not a real Moor if you're not a part of the temple. The lessons that I have say that no man can change the lineage of, you know, of a Moor unless his power extends beyond the great God Allah. That's what my lesson said. It's in your bloodline. You know what I mean? It's hereditary. But yet and still, they would come to the class and say, you're not a real Moor, you're not a true Moor if you're not in the temple. And I'm you know, putting quotations around the temple word. So to counter that, I wrote that piece so that people can understand what a temple is and where it starts. No different than, you know, our people that are still in the Christian mindset or still in the, you know, maybe the Sunni Muslim mindset, etc. Some of them harbor a belief that if you don't come to that building, that you're not in tune with the great God Allah or the universe or whatever they call their God in their faith. That's far from the truth, and we all know that. So I had to bring that out to let people know that the temple starts with you. The temple starts in your mind. The temple starts in your heart. The temple starts between you and your oneness with the Creator. That's what that was written about. Granted, it could have been written at any given time without that energy, but I have to be honest, that's the energy that sparked that, because I had to clarify for the people who were just coming in the movement, who weren't as experienced as S3 that are on this phone, because they would come to us and ask, yo, man, so do I have to go and get nationalized as a temple? You know, because Brother so-and-so said, you know, that I'm not a real Moor, and, my nationality card is invalid, and not, like, you're coming to our class to say that to people? You know what I mean? So I just thought it necessary to clarify that by writing what I wrote. So that's the back end to how that was created. Nick, if you remember, we were together during that weekend that it was created. We were all together, at the headquarters. You know what I mean? So, Nick is always doing some diligence in studying and working on something. So, he was working on what he was working on, and we build, when we're together in the flesh, we build a whole lot. And then we'll go in our respective areas and do some studying, and then we'll come back to the table with what we have, and then build some more, because that's how building works. So, that's the backstory for that. So now I'm going to start coming forward. When we actually, because it went on for longer than it should have. We gave them the benefit of the doubt. I was asked to remain humble and, let me talk to them, and we'll see if we can make it cease. So that was done. It stopped for a little while, and then it started back up. We spoke again. It started to stop for a little while, and then it started back up. So after about 2 times, so this will be the 3rd time, following the part that made me write this piece, there was a ban. Okay, you cannot come to this venue at all while we're here at this venue, because you're deliberately and maliciously coming here while we're here and trying to deter people from coming here. Oh, no, that's not my intention. Okay, so why do you wait until we come here to do that? Like, if you're doing that at your own temple, you know what I mean? If you out on the street or whatever, and talking to people about whatever you're talking to them about, I still disagree with it, but it would be more acceptable because you're not in our space that we all come from miles away and put energy into coming to bring the best class that we could bring to these people. You are really like spitting in our faces by coming here to speak negatively about what we're working on. So you can't come here anymore. That went on for a couple of months, and then he popped back up. And it was like, no, you can't come in. Now listen, I just want to speak to the sister, you know what I mean? I apologize, I just want to speak to her and see if we can get an understanding. All right, wait right there, and I'm going to go get her, and we're going to see what she said. But if she said you got to go, you got to go. Right. All right. And it was cool up until the elevator. It was little subtle things that we were over here, but it wasn't as bold and brazen as it was like what you were speaking about when they had to be shut down in the middle of class because, you know, instead of them letting people raise their hands that actually wanted to be educated, they were raising their hands. They got educated that night, though, even though they didn't intend to. But instead of them, they took away from the people and tried to debate in the middle of the class instead of letting the people raise their hands and get their questions answered who really came for information and to be enlightened. But they wound up being enlightened enough to where they didn't have any retorts, so they exited the building on their own that night. So I wanted to put emphasis on that because you spoke about that in the beginning.
Yeah, and I'm glad you brought that back up because that's real talk. I remember, you know, like when I see this hate, I'm like, oh, you know, that has been there for a very long time as far back as I can remember. If we're talking about a decade alone, it's not like it came at the end. It was there brewing. But we just came out of a decade or era where social media and communications had a boom. Like Mercury being the, you know, ruler of communications, it was like a wave, a mature wave, and it just boomed. But you was there when, you know, we were schooling them to the point where they had to leave because they came. Like I remember seeing them, and as soon as they came through the door, I'm like, yo, they don't mean no good. The minute they hit the door, I don't judge nobody like that, but like I know how to read. You know, I know negative energy when I see it. You know what I'm saying?
Sure.
I don't care if you got on a full-length goose with your fez on. I already know who you are as soon as I see that profile. I already know what it is. You know what I mean? Because I was just saying it's like, you know, putting a fez on don't mean you an official Moor because you are following religious instructions. That's like, in a sense, saying, you know, because I put Jordans on, I can fly. I could jump high. I could be the best NBA player. Nah, it's not the outfit. It's the internal energy. So when you recognize that from the door, I'm like, nah, they here for something so adversarial. Like, I felt that. And when they came and I was shutting them down with just information, I believe you was there because I remember the brother saying, yo, Miz, you ran a few Pharisees out of the building because they was coming with the negative energy. That's what I'm talking about, like being able to spot it in real life, not even in the textbook. You know what I mean? Even those Mufti senses, like, nah, as soon as you hit the door, I knew where you was at with it. But yeah, more, yeah. So all of that leading up to today, I see some of them people still have that same hatred, and those who were so ignorant is now being called, you know, sheiks and stuff like that. I'm like, what? Nah, you know what I mean? These are people who couldn't stand when we was intellectually giving it to them. You know what I mean? So, yeah, bro, I don't know, like, with all of that energy, it is what it is. You touch on it or not, but I mean, like, even with this dude, it was like, it's an energy with people. You could just spot it, you know it when you see it. And all I'm saying is, even with being Mufti, you know what I'm saying, being whatever, you could see the speaker. If you really a seer, you know energy when it comes through the door. Like, yeah. So, for certain, that's what I had to add on to that. But,
want a quick interjection again. Another example of that same thing that you're talking about with the energy of recognizing them from the door. Another Moor who also is a student of the people who we aforementioned, Brother Seton Rabe is another one with his classes where that same thing happens where these people with this messed up energy tries to, invade the realm with their insidious plan and their cunnings and all that Kavit Mtor stuff. You know what I mean? And he talks about that a lot too, with that frequency of individuals who that they're there to try to cause some imbalance in what's going on, or try to say some slick stuff to whether they're trying to get people to leave there to go to their temple or go to their classes that they're running or whatever. But that's something that people who are new to the information, because of the online, they miss that, because you only get that thing in your class. You don't get that from the online. So indeed, people could mask themselves online, but one of the beautiful things about actually going to classes and lectures, or the ability to go to classes and lectures during those times, is that you were able to see people's energy, and you could decipher who's who and who's what way easier than what you can with some of these online people. It might take you a year before you realize that somebody's a dirty Moor or whatever online. And by that time you already divested so much energy into them. They're Hulkamania off sucking your energy because you give it to them. Indeed. But I yield the floor, Islam.
So now I'm glad that you guys spoke about the energy, because
Brother Maker, I think we wasn't hearing you for 1 second.
I said I'm glad that you guys spoke about the energy, because that was a part of that evening as well. The brother came, and he was cool and calm, but something in my spirit said there's something wrong with that energy tonight. Even though he wasn't being, belligerent like we were used to him being, he came humble. I don't know if that was his ploy to get in the place, or but he came humble and spoke to Mother. Mother is Roz, for those that don't know. And she granted him entry into the building. Because everybody that knows me, if you've been to class, if you're banned, you're not getting past me. Even if you sneak in, we come in to tap you on your shoulder and it's time to go. You already know you're supposed to be here. Let's do this the easy way, not the hard way. You know what I mean? So he came with a humble energy, and he was stopped at the gate. The Mufti Sharif actually was at the gate. I'm not going to take credit for holding him at the gate, because I wasn't at the gate at that particular time. But either way, he was held at the gate until he spoke to Mother, and she granted him entry to the building. But something in my spirit was like, I don't trust this. I don't trust it. Something is wrong. Something's wrong. Lo and behold, we got to fast forward all the way to the end of class, because that's when this incident took place. I'm in the back, and I'm helping the sister who was bringing us food, to enjoy during class. I'm helping her break her tables down and her supplies, etc. Sure indeed. Shout out to Vashti. Peace. And I hear a whole bunch of commotion and a whole bunch of loud talking. So I run to the front by the elevator, which is where the commotion is coming from. And by that time, he was told, again, get out and really, really don't ever come back to this venue while we're here. he had tried to get belligerent with the brother Sharif, which is one of the other muftis, after the same energy that I know I felt was off. What he did this time, he didn't try to disrupt the class or try to mess with the students. He came to Mother with a slight debate about what she was teaching. Now we all know that's a no-no. We're not going for that. You know what I mean? So, but if Mother says fall back, we kind of try to do that, to a degree until we see that it's excess, and then we'll interfere. So she's like, no, let him go ahead. Let him say what he got to say, or let him ask whatever he got to ask. And it wound up getting out of control. And when she told him to shut it down, he didn't know how to turn the switch off. So when he was asked to leave, he got belligerent with the brother as if he wanted to fight the brother. Now, this brother, I know him personally, outside of class. We hang out outside of class. That's really not somebody that you want to do that with. You know what I mean? But for some reason, the brother did that, and he just doesn't know how close he was to being demolished before even me and him even had an incident take place. But the brother remained humble, and we just asked him to leave. So he took a stance that he wasn't going anywhere. I said, no, brother, you're leaving because you were told to leave, and it's our job, to enforce the rules and the laws around here. Mind you, me and this brother are cool. Despite what he's doing at this class, I actually met the brother and got close to him because he came from the same teachings that I come from, back again with the 5% teaching. So we connected on that level, and we got cool and close from that. Putting, what we learned from that along with the nationality, like, oh, so this is what we were missing. You know what I mean? We already knew that man and the law were one, but now, we got this part to go with. So we always would build and connect on that level. So we were cool at this point, aside from him coming and trying to disrupt our class. So I took the stance of, this is my man. Even though he's on his other wave right now, this is still my man. So I'm going to talk to him and try to coach him into leaving. And I went and, just put my hand on his shoulder, like, come on, bro. Like, you know what I mean? You got to come on, you know what I mean? She doesn't want you here. You know what I mean? Yo, get the fuck up. I'm like, oh. I'm not expecting that. Like, wait, you talking to me? Yeah, man, don't touch me. Okay, fine. Okay. So it's still time to leave, though. You're not standing here. You've been asked to leave, like, you got to go. You know what I mean? So he still took the stance that he wasn't going to go. I restrained him in a way that he couldn't swing at me. Because if I wanted to fight, I would have swung where I had to put my hands up. And I want to fight. I just want you to get out because you got to go. So I restrained him, and I pulled him towards the elevator. And, he was trying to wrestle me off of him. And eventually I got him to the elevator and tossed him on the elevator. As I tossed him on the elevator, he was trying to jump back off of the elevator. And I jumped on there with him and grabbed him and restrained him against the wall in the rear of the elevator. And by that time, there was a couple of booms, boom, boom, boom. So I guess everybody thought that we were engaged in a fight. So they came in and tried to break it up because they thought we were fighting. No. I'm like, we're not fighting. You know what I mean? Like, I'm restraining the brother. And when they pulled us apart, the brother took a cheap shot. And that's where the elevation took place, if we want to call it that. He may deny it, and that's cool, but on the record and for the record, that is how the whole thing started. he took a cheap shot at me when we were being pulled apart. So I had to engage with him at that point. Not we, not other Muftis, regardless of what story he's trying to put out. And only because he affected me first. It was not done with malicious intent at all whatsoever, aside from the fact that he put hands on me, as far as a punch. And to wait until there were people in the midst, as if you were going to be able to do that when I wasn't going to be able to retaliate. You know what I mean? So that's how that took place. And there were not other people that jumped on him as well. That was between him and I. Now, to move forward with that a little bit, that's the reason why, because they from what I understand, they were trying to go to the Romans and bring me up on charges. Or bring us, the supposed people that jumped him when he went back to his temple. We were supposed to be brought up on charges, but there were elders and other people that were there that witnessed it, that spoke to his elders to inform them on how the situation occurred, and that's why they didn't involve the Romans. But they were actually on the verge of involving Romans with the situation. So I thought we were supposed to have Moorish court, if Moors had problems with Moors. But I guess that's another, that's another show, maybe, possibly. I don't know. But they weren't trying to bring me up on charges at their temple, you know what I mean, or at their, their grand temple, or have the grand governor or the grand sheik charge me. They were trying to go to Roman soldiers to press charges. From what I understand, until certain people that were there bear witness to exactly what happened and how it happened. So he can spread whatever he wants to spread and how he wants to spread it. But that's the reason why this didn't go further than it did. And I've seen him since then. And I harbor no ill feelings towards the brother. As, I told him when he was making his comments, I'm not going to argue with you, and I'm not going to be the aggressor when I see you. I'm going to defend myself at all costs. I'm going to defend Mother in the honor of this unit at all costs. However, I'm not going to see you and be like, yo, man, what's up? It's not happening. I'm sorry. It's not going to happen. You have that much of a problem with me. When you see me, you're going to have to address that, because I don't have an issue with you. Aside from the fact, that you keep disrespecting us, but that's not enough for me to run up on you. You know what I mean? Like, if you had those kind of feelings, though, you handle that the best way that you see fit. But that's how the elevator situation occurred. From the very small flames or the very small sparks that turned into those flames on that evening. If we had to go all the way back with how it started and what it evolved into. That's the back to the front. Up until now, present day, with this video.
Right. So when you say you got jumped, that's crazy. I can't stand when people do that. But, the camera is also a gift, For some people it's a curse. For most it's a gift. It didn't lie. And that's pieced up that nothing extra happened because it wasn't nothing extra supposed to happen in the first place. So salute to you for being you and standing up in that particular situation for what it was worth. But the sad part is that it was deeper than what it's appearing to be, whereas he was claiming that he got jumped when he didn't. You know, at that time people had a little bit more, I guess you can say it was a little bit more grace on the situation. He could have been, but you know, that wasn't supposed to happen to him. But for him to claim that happened, to me, that's crazy. And then go get the Romans involved, that's even crazier. That's why I'm like, how you acting like you so gangster when, you know, you was just going to go get them people for real. It's crazy.
I want to make a point that I'm not even going to count the years. I'm going to say I have spent multiple years as Mufti with Moorish Heritage and History School. I can tell you that in my multiple years of doing that, there was only 2 instances where I had to be physical with him. So if my intention is to be malicious or to be, belligerent or to be a buffoon, I think the track record would be a whole lot more than 2 people. And both of those people bought what they got.
Thanks, though.
You know what I mean? Like anybody that knows me knows, especially from the class, I'm humble. You know what I mean? I'm quiet most of the time unless I have something to interject while the lesson is going on, or unless I'm a part of teaching the lesson. Other than that, I'm zipping in and out. You don't know, I might come through the side door, I might come back through the front. You know what I mean? I might be posted at the door 1 minute, next thing you know, you see me on stage, so everybody knows. You know what I mean? Like I'm just a go with the flow, type of person. So to even try to turn that into that and act as though I actually maliciously battered you, you know what I mean, is really wild to me.
That's crazy, yo. I wanted to say something else to your point earlier about the temple being the body. Even Brother Cujo mentioned the Brother Setenrod. Not for nothing. Another one of the most educational highlights I had of this last decade was that when we went to the Thomas Jefferson Library of Congress, like there, they had a lot of that same information written in axioms on plaques, like a whole lot of those, like things they were saying, like the only temple in the universe is the body of man, and the only university is a collection of books. Going back, so even to that piece that you said you wrote and you did, explaining the whole aspect of the temple, there's even more facts in the world to substantiate what you were saying. Yeah, I think that's a mandatory. I think that's definitely a mandatory trip for anybody who has the spiritual eyes to see. That building is saying a lot. And if you really, really study classical literature, you'll realize what's being said in certain aspects. Real talk. Like just basic arts and science. It's all in that building, bro. So, Yeah, that's forever where it's at, as far as I'm concerned, because it's like this, you know, even to the point of what you were saying about the temple being within, you know, you are the temple. It's the same underlying theme for any philosophy that you could get into, whereas it tells you in even in the Bible when Yahshua is saying, you know, the kingdom of heaven is within. Moses is telling you the temple of God is within. You know, it's the same message repeated, you know, because that's what it is. So, I think that one of the things we need to understand is the people collectively, like, or especially, let me say, even if not collectively, especially if you proclaiming or declaring or saying that you are more, you definitely need to know that what the history is as far as the agreements between Moors and Europeans, or the origins of the United States or United States of America, and all of these things. Like, you have to be into Moorish history because it's all there. You have to be into it. And to study from Thomas Jefferson's Library of Congress, all of those sciences are inscribed within the building. And it's just like, even though he was not an initiated Mason or none of that, like, it was still more science that he was dealing with.
Indeed.
You know what I mean? And that's the mystery, is that you the image and likeness of God. Therefore, you are the God body. But, you know what I mean? If you're looking outside of yourself for a temple, then you're a disembodied shell. And that's philosophy of life. That's what they know that.
So indeed.
Yeah.
That's one of the reasons why that we know that there are certain people put in certain places to inform and to guide. But at some point, you must be an informer and a guide for someone coming behind you. So with respect to that, Noble Drew Ali taught us in his lessons that each one is a minister unto himself. So, you know, we're talking, you know, I'm a grand sheik and I'm a grand this and I'm a grand that. And, okay, so who are you grooming behind you? Or are we, you know, jeopardizing sheep? I don't want to, you know, knock anybody else's religion or their faith, but like other people in other faiths and religions that we know, are we jeopardizing sheep, or are we raising ministers? You know what I mean? Like, it's in the same lessons. You want to take to the lessons and say who's real more and who's not a real more. Like, you want to use the lessons and the laws at your convenience to pull the wool over people's eyes. But if we go into the lessons, we got to go in the lessons and we got to go through the lessons. My Circle 7 says each one is a minister unto himself. That's what mine says. That doesn't mean that I'm supposed to be shepherdizing you for 20, 30 years.
Facts, though.
So, you know, if we going into that, we got to go in. You know what I mean? Like, you know, it speaks about the 3-step ladder. You know what I mean? Like, you know, man himself at some point becoming the truth through fruition. Like, are we going to go into those lessons, or are we just going to go into the, oh, well, you got to sign it at the temple, you got to pay your dues, and you got to, okay. What about this belief, faith, and fruition demonstration? Where did that come in at? You know what I mean? Like, so to tie all that together, if you guys know me or have seen me demonstrate, and I'm not the only one that does it, but dealing with the demonstration that you were just speaking on, Mick. You have to be this. You know, a lot of the time people put in, you know, paperwork, or they got, you know, the nationality card, and, yo, man, I tried this thing, man, and it didn't work, and, you know, man, I don't know, man. You know, the judge said this, or, you know, the prosecutor said, or the police officer said. Are you actually in tune with what you're submitting? Like, you know, you have to breathe this. It has to, you know, it has to seep out of your pores. You know what I mean? Like, and when we were talking about energy, to go back and bring it back full circle, we were speaking about energy not too long ago. Mm-hmm. You don't think these people can see and feel that same energy? Absolutely. They know if you coming as the truth. They know if you coming as a lying man. They've been trained to do that. So, you know, I will always teach people to be this paperwork, to be this nationality card. If you don't have the same passion or a deeper passion, then that thing, that niche that you like, if you don't have that for this movement, then this movement isn't for you. That's my demonstration. If you like basketball and your passion is basketball, and you could go out there and you could dribble all day, you could dribble all day, you could shoot shots all day, and don't get tired of playing basketball. If it's knitting, if it's singing, if it's playing an instrument, I don't care what it is. If this movement does not move you like that thing, or more than that thing, then this is not it. Not for you. It ain't for you. That, you know what I mean? Like, you are what you are by bloodline and by inheritance, but to be an active more, this must be deep within your soul, like that thing or those things that you love to do. That's my demonstration. If you like to read books, you know what I mean? If you like to write poetry, you should love reading the Circle 7, or reading these degrees, or living out these degrees, or writing law documents, whatever it is. If you don't have that same passion for that you do for that thing, then you may need to rethink what you're doing. That's my demonstration. This is not on the surface thing, to be an active Moor. We're all Moors by birth, by inheritance. But to be an active Moor, to be on the front line. Cool Joe, you've been on the front line. Mikael, you've been on the front line. I myself have been on the front line. Many other people that we know have been on the front line. To be that, you have to have that passion. And it has to burn, and it has to be within you so deeply that it seeps out of your pores. If it doesn't do that, I'm going to repeat it as many times as I need to. This is not for you. Sit back, study, deal with the history, you know what I mean, of who we are, and just don't try to activate any of it until you find that passion, because you're going to get yourself hurt and jammed up. We get jammed up, and we have the passion. So imagine, you know what I mean, you're going out there just on an empty vessel, trying to demonstrate. You know what I mean? So that's one thing I like to add on. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Big facts. That's what it is. You have to be what you know. There's no other way around it. There's no other way around it. If you're not being what you know, then you're being something else, right? Remember Cool Joe saying before, don't be what you don't know, be what you know is the key to all of this. You know what I'm saying?
Sure.
That's just what it is. So if you're not being what you know, then it's going to be tough to, actually manifest what it is that you're proclaiming through written word. You know, it gets to a point where you really got to consider yourself, your energy, you know, where you at with it. Because that's all that really matters at the end of the day. This way you can stand on your feet, and no matter what paperwork you put in, you can substantiate and protect and defend yourself if that's even why you even doing this. You know, if you're doing it for the history, for the law, knowing that they all won, that's what's up. Don't get it twisted. But there's many reasons that people declare their nationality. People correct their so-called name. You know what I mean? People change their so-called name or whatnot because any reason people keep them. But, you know, to really understand that, you got to understand you know? And if it's not within you, like let's say the reason you changing your name is because you realize that, okay, Smith is a European name. It's not my name. That's honorable. In any culture, it's honorable. It came to the point where some of our people ain't even respecting that basic element of coming into our own and being ourselves. So it's like it's a whole nother breed of respect for this, because I don't know any of the freedom fighters who didn't go through a name correction.
Indeed.
I don't know any of them.
Indeed.
Sojourner Truth, so-called Harriet Tubman, you know what I'm saying? Airman to Ross, Airman to Ross Bay, you know, these are actual facts recorded. Sojourner Truth, same thing. I see that even with the remedies that was being brought to people who were going through extreme abuses that were under color of law. Like, I recall sisters saying that they got their children took from them and they was looking for remedy. You know what I mean? And all types of things. And as much as people say, oh, well, you know, we from the so-called slave struggle or whatever, you know, Noble Dry Lee understood that, but he also understood that it was about freedom, too. That's one of the 5 principles. When I see a lot of people disagreeing, like, oh, no, Moors don't have the right to travel, you know, I've realized, too, that even if they in the temple, they're not really acknowledging the 5 basic pillars, which is love, truth, peace, freedom, and justice. I don't know why people take that word freedom like it's a light word, like just because there's no shackles and a ball and chain and, you know, a coffin, as they call it, around your neck. That don't mean that it's not some sort of bondages going on, you know. And so when I see people against or opposed to what Moors are saying, nah, this is my absolute birthright, because, you know, it's crazy when you think about it. Moorish ancestors, like Moorish lineal, like people who are of Moorish descent in some way, shape, or form, were the ones who invented the so-called car. So I'm saying, like, if the descendants are saying, like, look, it's our right to travel, it's our invention, y'all copycatted and ran with it in this particular jurisdiction of this continental jurisdiction. Because, again, you know, even when we speaking about law and all of these things, it's like, yo, remember, before it was a U.S. Congress, it was a continental Congress. Yeah, and U.S. is not a continent. So, you know, to understand all of these things and put it in perspective of what is law, what is not, is so important when we talk about Moors who are in the temple and not in the temple, as far as what the purpose is, as far as freedom. People are going to take that a different way as well. So I just to say that and yield the floor to Breton. You know what I mean?
I got a little something to tie that in with a highlight. We were talking about highlighting the decade or some moments in the decade. but I want to see if the brother Cujo wants to add on anything before I build.
Absolutely.
Oh, go ahead, more and join the build. Go ahead.
Yo, all right. So we're building about energy and how it has to be in you so that it could be out of you, so to speak. So look, I'm gonna take you back. For those that don't know, like, we not just cool at class. We spend a whole lot of time outside of class building. So this particular time, we went to a pizza shop, a pizzeria. Look, you following me? So what I'll do is, from time to time, I like to.
Oh, I know where you're going with this. Go ahead, bro.
So I like to, like, if I have on a fez or a shirt, you know, representing our culture, I do it for the purpose of educating someone. If sometimes it could be 8 cents, knowing that we're non-obligatory taxed. It could be 8 cents. And I'm looking at this person and I'm saying, this person may inquire about what this means. So I'm going to use this tax card right now because I want to see if this person inquires about it so that I can educate them or enlighten them on, you know, what the card is, the origin of it, how I got it, etc. Because that's what most people do, especially younger Moorish brothers and sisters who may not know who they are. They may be sleepy Moors, but when you hit them with it, because everybody want to save some fiat. So when you hit them with the tax card, you know, if I'm in Walmart, if I'm in, I need to get one of those. How do you get that? You know what I mean? So then it's a check. Oh, listen, I'll write it down. RV Bay Publications. You know what I'm saying? You know what I mean? Go to YouTube. Go look up Rosemary Bay. Go look up Tariq Bay. Go look up, and here's my number. You check it out. You got any questions? Hit me. You know what I mean? So I take those opportunities, even if it's 3 cents attached. I may just take that leap and see if this person is inquisitive about the movement. So this particular time, we're at a pizzeria, and it was Europeans, you know, a European-run pizzeria. So it's Nick, it's myself, it's Roz, and a few more people. So Nick and I are, you know, ahead of everyone else. So we're picking out what we want, you know, et cetera. And I was like, you know what? This is one of those times right here. So I pulled out the tax card, and the lady is looking, and she's like, "Oh, I don't know what to do with this. What is this? Is this a military ID?" No, it's not. She's looking right at it though, and she's trying to read it. I'm like, no, it's not a military ID. But I'm falling back and letting her read. You know, you're gonna educate yourself a little bit before you ask me questions. Cool. I'm gonna let that rock. So she's sitting there. I'm not understanding what this is. I got a whole fez on it, on the picture. You know, it says Moorish, you know, identification card. You know what I mean? Like, there's a picture of the Great Seal on it. Like, and you're gonna keep asking me if this is military ID. Okay, all right. Then she gave it back. He said, I'm not sure what that is. I said, well, we're non-obligatory, you know, taxed individuals. He said, oh, we don't, I don't think we do that here. It's like, are you the owner? You the manager? No, she's over there. Can we speak with her? So she told us to wait to speak with the manager. She took it upon herself to keep inquiring about the car. So now Mick has interjected. And she's like, I'm just not understanding. Is that a military? Like, man, I already told you it wasn't a military ID. So Mick is like, we're Aboriginal, indigenous, you know what I mean? We're Americans, the true Americans. So she's like, oh. So he was like, if I asked you what my nationality is, what would you say? He said, black. He said, no, that's not a nationality. So African American, that's not a nationality either. He said, okay, I'll do you one better. What's your nationality? She said, I'm Italian. So you see that? Now, if you're Italian, how am I black? What is black? He said, there's a land called Italy, right, that you hail from, right? She said, yes. She said, where's the land of black at? Now she's scratching her head, and he said, so is Italian your full nationality? She said, I'm an Italian American. Oh, so you're American. Second, right? She said, yeah. So, well, we're true Americans. You know what I mean? We're American, period. So she's like, so are you saying that I'm not a true American? He said, no. You said you're not true American. Like, you just said you were Italian. So are you Italian? Are you American? Or are you an Italian American? He said, I'm Italian American. Well, then the Italian comes first. You know what I mean? So, she said, you said like indigenous? You mean like Indians? You guys don't look like Indians to me. He said, well, we're not Indian. That's why. That's number one. Number two, he said, you just said you were Italian, right? She said, yeah. He said, there's a place called India, right? She said, yeah. So there are people that are actually considered Indians that hail from a place called India, correct? She said, yeah. We can agree that India is not where we're standing at right now, correct? She said, yeah. He said, okay, so what if I took you, being from Italy, knowing that you're from Italy, and knowing that there's a continent or a nation called China, and I started calling you Chinese for the rest of your life. She said, wait, that doesn't make any sense. He said, no, it doesn't make sense. That you're sitting here calling us Indians when this is not India. And there's a whole nation of people called Indians in a whole nother part of the planet. Right. She was stuck. Like, what the? That's not where it stopped at, though. Okay, you know what I mean? She was kind of starting to fall back a little bit, like, whoa. But she was, now, mind you, the manager or the owner, she wasn't busy anymore. She was sitting back, watching, smiling. You know what I mean? So Mick was like, what's your nationality? She said, I'm Sicilian. So she sitting back smiling like, yo, they know. So she showed the manager the cars. Well, can I see that? Can I show it? Yeah. So she showed the door. She looked at it. She said, yeah, take the tags off. Gave it back. Right? She's still smiling. So she's like, I'm just still not understanding if you guys, so is the tax because you guys are Indian? I'm sorry. Because you guys are from, native to this land? Or is that a military ID? Like, yo, I done told you like 10 times this isn't a military ID.
Hey, yo, but you know what's crazy about that, bro? I recall, like, everywhere we went out in the area, like, the Europeans automatically thought you was in the military, because, like, not for nothing, bro.
Yeah, they still do.
Like, because you like, real talk, you very muscular, so they be like, yo, is this motherfucker, like, where he come from? He's like the fucking Incredible Hulk and shit. Like, no, Europeans get threatened by that. You know what I'm saying? They'll be threatened by your presence. And that's not the only time. I recall one time, I go to this bookstore all of the time. And I'll never have no problems when I do go. I haven't been in a while, but I usually never have no problems when I go. And I went in there one time with you, and the dude said, "You're not for browsing." I'm like, what the fuck? But look, the brother is I'm not comparing you to no monkey, but like at that time you was gorilla status on some for real talk. And on your jacket you had, the pyramid as a patch, you had Circle 7, you had scimitar, you had all of this on your arm sleeve, and these people was shook, bro. They wouldn't even let us look at the books. I'm like, yo, that's crazy, bro. I never experienced no discrimination at that bookstore like that. They was just scared, bro. That's all that was.
So now the finale, if you remember from the incident that I was recollecting.
Yeah.
She asked, okay, so it's not a military ID. What the symbol that's on it? What is that for? So Mick was like, "We're Moors." She said, "Moors." What's that? And she's like, "You know what? Never mind. I'm sorry that I've been asking you guys so many questions. I'm sorry to have bothered you." She grabbed her head. She was like, "I'm gonna go now." Like, oh, you know what I mean? Like, so now you don't want to talk no more. You know what I mean? So, but you acted like you don't know who we are, but you do, because remember, Mick, she was like, she had to be well in her 60s. You're well in your 60s, and you're from Italy, you going to tell me you don't know who the Moors are? You crazy. Come on now. Come on. But that was the nail in the coffin. You know what I'm saying? Like, Moors, what's that? Oh, no, wait. You know what? Never mind. I'm sorry I've been bothering you guys, asking so many questions. I'm going to let you, enjoy your meal. Oh, now we're going there now.
Right. Yeah. Real talk.
Meanwhile, her boss sitting back there laughing at her the whole time, like pretty much like, yo, they know. You know what I mean? Like, and she was impressed by how we handled the situation.
Yeah,
because
nothing.
The whole time.
And I recall, that's why I tell people all the time, I'm like, when we get the nationality card and we possess that, like you were saying earlier, it's about being what's on there, if you resonate with it, but it's so important to actually be that, because if not, you won't be able to get it right, because like I said, I tell Moors all the time, like, yo, the nationality card is a civic tool. It's not a bulletproof vest. You know what I'm saying? It's a civic tool. So you go out in the world like, oh, it's time to do whatever. And, I mean, to a sense, if you know what you're doing. But like, it's not a bulletproof vest. Only a bulletproof vest is a bulletproof vest.
Actual facts.
No matter how much cards you got in your pocket, whether they be debit, credit, identity card, it doesn't matter. You know what I mean? That doesn't mean you're not subjected to certain ills of the world until you're later able to clarify yourself. But that's where people get it twisted. You got to be that. I remember.
Even then, you get tested. You know what I mean?
Yeah. I remember when the test was the funnest part. Yeah, I remember when the test was the funnest part. Like, oh, okay. Let's go in here and get some tax-free pizza from the Italians real quick. Or the Sicilians or whoever. I remember those times, you know what I mean? But you know, it is what it is. Everybody's not going to be from that cloth, and it just is what it is. I'm not saying we holier than or better than anybody else. It's just that we had faith in what we was doing and what we knew. We had faith in what we knew. Going back to what you were saying about man himself being the truth, you know, it's beyond names and titles and things of that nature. It's about you yourself, whatever you call yourself, being the truth, you know. And I'm not saying whatever you call yourself, like, it doesn't matter. I'm just saying, like, you know, you have to be yourself. So, yeah, and that's an energy you got to be in tune with. But, yeah, with that being said, I want to yield the floor. Breckman Cool Joe, if you have anything to add on. I know, and that was the whole greatest thing about this decade, too, is that, like, a lot of stuff got to be captured and shared on camera, you know, and people are able to see demonstrations. You have Moors all over the place demonstrating non-tax obligation. You know, before anybody was even even before it was a camera phone, you know what I mean? People were demonstrating their tax non-obligatory status before that. But nowadays, it's like you can do the demonstration and capture it if you want people to know that that's your business or whatnot. But if not, whatever.
Well, real quick, Parzell, real quick before the brother comes back on. A highlight, definitely, for me, having brothers like you guys, having, you know, sisters, having brothers like Taj, the people that I'm closest with right now to this day are over this last decade of my activity in and around this movement over the last decade. So I just want to highlight that before I forget. That is definitely a highlight to me. You know what I mean? Like, I was, you know, privy to the information prior to, but that 2008, 2009 mark is when I really, really, really became highly active in the movement. And that's when I started to meet all the people that are closest to me now. You know what I mean? So that's a highlight, a personal highlight for me.
Yes, well, along with that decade, the decade thing with the highlights, one of the milestones that we got out here is this is our 10th Noble Juali Day or Noble Juali celebration. So yeah, so that's something that, you know, seeing that grow over the years, with Moors in Canaanland, and then it opening up to Moors outside of Canaanland, making their presence known here, just to give honors to the Prophet with us, has turned into a highlight. You know what I mean? And want to give thanks and send our appreciation for all the Moors who've been supporting ever since, you know, we started putting that word out here. All the Moors that came through the temple and left, all the Moors that's still around since day one. You know, one of the good things too with the whole decade thing is, like what Minka was saying, being able to meet a lot of these brothers in that decade, and sisters, and, you know, master teachers, people who you only seen on video or whatever. You see them for the first time. You know what I mean? Sitting there in awe at a Raz class or a nature or a Taj. Like, damn, this is not a video right now. Like, that's them right there in the flesh. Like, I could reach out and touch the master teacher. You know what I mean? Pull some Jesus on them. Let me touch their garment so I get some praises. You know, it's been amazing. Some of the places, you know what I mean, going to Louisiana to lecture, Philly, you know, Jersey, being on the same platform with Nature and Taj together, you know, Pittsburgh, you know, you know,
that right there.
You know
let me say.
Pittsburgh was.
Hold up.
Yeah, Pittsburgh was.
Let me say something real quick. And I'll speak for myself on this right now. I don't care what nobody thinks. That experience right there, I'm not sure if you did Pittsburgh first or Cincinnati first, but that was the turning point. You know, people say turning point of the century.
Cincinnati was first. Yeah, Cincinnati was live too. Yeah.
That was the turning point of the decade, because that was like one of the first times in the competent era. What was that, 2015? That was like midway through the decade. I can't believe it's been that fast already. But my gosh,
2015.
That was a trip that opened my eyes on a whole nother level. Yeah. That right there was it. That right there, that's when I was like, okay, I need a camera. Like, I need a camera. I need a camera. The best joint that's out right now. You know what I'm saying? Like, I need that. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Real talk. That was what was on my mind, because it challenged me to go to a place I'd never been before, physically, right here in North America. And I'm like, oh my gosh. Yeah. Like, the whole journey, I'm like, oh wow. Was it 2014 or 2015 though? 2015 and 2016. Yeah, I think it was 2015 you did Cincinnati. Then 2016 you did Pittsburgh. Something like that. Whatever. But I remember going there and seeing both of those environments. I don't know if I wasn't paying attention enough, but I never seen old Moorish buildings and temple structures like with Moorish stained on the glass window. And, you know, even y'all pointed out the fact that it was St. Peter the Moor. Even coming from the Jersey area, I haven't seen anything like that. Like I seen the building
was
structure.
The next level.
Yeah, but as far as the open recognition, you know what I mean? I haven't seen anything like Pittsburgh. And on the way to Cincinnati, because I remember I'm looking at what appears to be mountains. You know what I mean? But I'm looking and I'm like, these don't look like mountains. These look so precise. It look like they might be mounds or something. And then like 2 minutes later or whatnot, we seeing the sign on the road, Moundsville, Ohio. I'm like, well, you know, place names get their names from certain attributes.
Sure.
You know what I mean? So if this is Moundsville, we just sitting here talking about how these look like mounds, not mountains. Obviously, these are the mounds. You know what I'm saying? Like what it is. And I haven't seen anything like that. So that was the turning point of the decade for me, for sure. As far as the extension of my vision and experience, and I'm forever grateful for that. I'm forever grateful for that. I remember being in Cincinnati. I was walking down the street. We was eating. I think it was a vegan restaurant. It was some sort of African restaurant or whatnot.
Oh yeah, the one spot where the
you
spot
know
where
what
you
I'm
had the dinner
about.
at. The dinner spot. Yeah. So we had a lockdown, the long table with the long table.
I think. I forgot what they call it. If I'm not mistaken, it might have been like Madagascarian, something like that. But yeah, and I had stepped outside and I walked down the street for a second, and one brother was like, man, you don't look like you from around here. Where you from? I said, damn, what it look like to look like you from around here? Like, real talk, what's that look like? You know what I'm saying? Like, do I need to have on, like, trousers and a straw hat? Like, what does it look like? You know what I mean? And he was like, man, you right down the street from Kentucky. It's right down the street and over that bridge. But I never went over to Kentucky. But we was right there, though. Like, I remember that. And Cincinnati got some amazing architecture. And certain places where you could just see broken mounds right in the middle of the city. Right here in North America. So, yeah, man. As far as expansion of my vision and realizing what's really good, that contributed a lot, making the journey out there. A whole lot.
Straight. Where else was there? Well, yeah, North Carolina was crazy with me, Aleem, Setnara, and Taj. That was a crazy one.
Yo, I'm so mad I missed you all that experience.
For real. Yeah. That was when got to meet with Brother Jedias that makes all the wooden stuff. That was a good one. Seattle, Virginia. Yeah, there were some good ones in that decade. There were some good ones.
Yeah.
There were some live sessions. You know what I mean? And again, it's that thing too that we were talking about earlier with, you know, once you get to be in the presence. Oh, can't forget DC with Brother Supreme L. He was there too. You know, that was only when we did Philly, and then we did the Library of Congress tour. You know, going to the Library of Congress. That's only stuff you do with Moors. You don't do those stuff. You know what I mean? Unless it's with Moors. You know, that's the importance of the unity factor. You know.
Yeah.
When Moors get together, it's something epic when Moors get together, especially when the right Moors get together. It's always going to be something epic. It's always going to be, you know, filled with memories and you know, something to take with you. You know, the good part, the good things of this Moorish paradigm, not the stuff people be putting online to try to make you think this is not what it's about. The things that you don't hear about. Things you don't ever hear about, you know. Even when we went to the Chinese spot, when we were in nature and all of them.
Right, though.
Nature set around. Yeah, yo, there were some crazy ones.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah,
for sure. Now,
you know,
yeah, it's a lot to give thanks for. You know what I mean? My mother completed
straight up
a 12-year cycle of MHHS in Harlem, you know, moving into her own situation. And it's a beautiful process and thing that's happening. You know, ups and downs is always real, but, you know, it's just so much happening. 12 years in that, you know, being completed. I think that's a really beautiful thing. To be able to move on, you know what I mean, and do something new and fresh and different. Yeah. Even bringing the culture to the culture hub, you know, on the East Coast at least. You know, that speaks for itself, but for certain, man, it's just so much. 2015 was definitely where I was like, okay, you know, I understand the beauty of being Aboriginal, indigenous to this place because, you know, man, it's like until you actually, I don't care how you do it, whether it be through, car, automobile, train, whatever, bus, whatever, until you get to see the lay of this land in North America, you can never really understand how beautiful it is, even if you don't get to travel everywhere. Like, just to be able to travel somewhat through the land on the same level it's a beautiful sight, man. And it's like going to Pittsburgh or Cincinnati, that opened the door for me to be like, okay, it's a lot more places to see. I understand why our ancestors took a liking to travel across continents,
For real.
Across continents. Real talk, well. Like, yeah, even that. And I had some pictures from that, but my old phone got cooked from the inside out, so I wasn't able to keep some of those pictures because the phone I had, the SD card was built inside, so I can't like put it in an adapter and put.
Yeah. That's how they do. Yo. We're not hearing you, Miz. You there, Minka? I don't know if anybody's hearing right now. Peace. Sounds like you're there still, but I'm not hearing nothing. Just getting some static.
Greetings. Can you hear me?
There it is. Yeah, we can hear you now. I know the music is there still.
Israel got cut off, a brethren.
Say again?
Israel got cut off.
Oh,
yeah,
that's
the other
crazy.
two brethren got cut off.
I don't know who else is on there. Somebody else was on there too?
I don't know. I thought you was waiting for Mizrael and them to come back on. They back on?
No, I didn't. I'm not hearing them. But it sounds like it's you and me right now.
You fell off at first. They waited for you to come back in, and then they fell off.
That's crazy.
I know.
That's
Are
crazy.
they able to get back in without the show?
I don't even know, because then he wouldn't be able to run the thing, I don't think. If he
might as well keep it running. Might as well keep. They must have had a shorter
yeah.
Wi-Fi.
Yeah.
You know, it must have been Rob call.
Something went down. But I don't know why it wouldn't shut off if he's running it from the switchboard or whatever. If he shuts off, it should shut off.
The whole thing should shut off, right? And he could get back on.
Right.
Well,
but it's after 11 too, so he might not be able to.
We're gonna keep it moving, there, man. Because I know it's a few
calls. Yeah, more.
You know.
Yeah, well, I don't know if I don't know if you could see callers or whatever. I can't see nothing. I don't know what's going on right now.
Well, I'm on the phone, talking through the phone. But yeah, this is Balance Bay.
Yeah.
From the territory of the Bronx.
Islam, man.
Corporate state of NY. Greetings, yo. Yeah, y'all talking some good stuff tonight, and I like that what y'all saying. I even go through my own experience being who I am and knowing the self, as a Moor.
Right.
I had to force a lot of things, and I had a lot of, challenges, but as you know, when you stick there and you don't fold or come to their succussion. You just, you enforce what you need to enforce, and them doors start opening up,
Right.
So I was utilizing situations where I would go in these stores to enforce that tax on them, and they would look at my card, and they would say, well, I don't know what this is. So I said, what do you mean you don't know what this is? Can you read? Look at everything that says on the card. And they would look at it, right, and then I would tell them I'm not obligated to pay any taxes. So they would say, well, I don't know. I got to go check with my boss. So I said, go ahead, bring them here. I'm not going to give you no history lessons. You know what I'm saying? If you need to find, the information is out there. So I'm going to wait right here until we going to get this situation resolved. Because when I leave out of here, I'm not paying no more taxes after this. And then all of a sudden the doors open up. I go to this place called Costco's. You ever heard of Costco's?
Yeah.
I used to look at the taxes that they used to hit my